So those who have followed the channel for some time know and understand that the purpose of this channel is to expose the true nature of the 2021 season and the systematic fixing of the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix that many people still do not understand. However, in order to help do so, I need people to understand the manner in which the media present information to you. So if we can take the example of just what has happened this week with Christian Horner, which I will go into in a different video. This week, on the BBC's website, we've got Red Bull investigating Horner following allegations. We've got hearing into Horner allegations set for Friday. We've got Red Bull future in spotlight before Horner hearing. And we've got Horner hearing ends without resolution. So we've got 4 articles from the BBC which actually tell you nothing, okay? And yet people think that they are getting some authentic information from that. Now, the BBC is seen by many people as an authentic broadcaster, a place to go to get authentic information about things that you want to find out about, things that are current, things that are in the news. And you're not getting that. And their chief Formula One writer does not give you that. Basic journalism, informing people about the facts of what's going on and the context of what is going on. Andrew Benson doesn't do that. Now, let me give you an example in this video of this article here. The British Grand Prix to stay at Silverstone until 2034. I'm going to break that article down and give you a completely different perspective. But this is the perspective that Andrew Benson gives you about it, and for what purpose. Ultimately, if you read his agenda, okay, because it's an agenda that he's putting forward, and then see it broken down a different way, you will think about this a completely different way. So when we go on to this article, and I'll do it so that you can actually see what he writes, and I'll firstly read it through and then we'll break it down. So, British Grand Prix, new Silverstone Formula One deal announced until 2034. And we've got a picture of our 8-time world champion, a British guy, British Grand Prix, British 8-time world champion, okay, by Andrew Benson, chief F1 writer. The British Grand Prix will continue at Silverstone until at least 2034 after the historic track signed a new 10-year deal with Formula One. The move marks a period of enhanced stability for the UK's place on the F1 calendar after years of uncertainty. F1 President and Chief Executive Stefano Domenicali said Silverstone is an iconic venue which is at the heart of F1 history. Silverstone staged the first F1 World Championship race in 1950. It continues to attract fans from around the world for fantastic racing on track and the amazing fan experience of it, Domenicali said. The deal was first announced in a social media video with British F1 drivers George Russell and Lando Norris. Linked to another article. Silverstone is owned by the British Racing Drivers Club, the BRDC, and bills itself as the home of British motorsport. From 1955 to 1986, it shared Britain's round of the championship with first Aintree and then Brands Hatch. It has hosted the race every year since 1987 and even held 2 Grand Prix in 1 year at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. Silverstone was one of the first Grand Prix to diversify its offering to fans by staging music concerts and other entertainment over the course of the weekend. This approach is at the heart of F1 owners Liberty Media's plans to grow the sport by broadening its appeal. So, 2023 British Grand Prix at Silverstone drew the largest combined attendance for any track during the entire F1 season. Last year's race was won by Max Verstappen. We had to mention Max, didn't we, Andrew? Drew a record crowd of 480,000 fans across the weekend, the largest combined attendance for any track during the 2023 season. Liberty's desire to expand the calendar and to introduce new races that are close to major population centres has put pressure on many traditional and historic races, no matter their status in the sport. The longevity of Belgium's classic Spa-Francorchamps track, for example, is uncertain because of a number of concerns over modernisation, including access. Silverstone's last contract, signed in 2019, was for 5 years and came at the 11th hour after the track said it could no longer afford the fee for the race. The circuit's new contract removes it from those concerns for the time being. For the time being. Silverstone Chief Executive Stuart Pringle said, "This long-term commitment reflects the importance of the British Grand Prix to Formula One and their acknowledgement of our ability to deliver a world-class experience for the British fans, who are amongst the most enthusiastic and knowledgeable in the world. The cheers of support for the home teams and particularly for the British drivers on the grid makes the Silverstone atmosphere unique, and I'm looking forward to harnessing this passion for our sport and taking the event to the next level in the coming decade. Silverstone has been modernising in recent years, including opening a museum and hotel on site. The BRDC has pledged to further upgrade facilities at the track during the course of the new contract." Peter Digby, chairman of the BRDC, said, "This contractual security will provide a solid base for the further development of the venue as we continue to improve and transform the circuit into a year-round international motorsport and leisure destination." And that's the end of the article. So, what does that leave you thinking? British Grand Prix deal for the next 10 years, announced until 2034. Okay, British Grand Prix will continue at Silverstone after the historic track signed a new 10-year deal. The move marks a period of enhanced stability for the UK's place on the F1 calendar after years of uncertainty. Phew, that's a relief, isn't it? That's great that we've got the future secured for this event, because we don't want to lose the British Grand Prix, do we? So it's good that we've managed to secure this. That's a good thing, isn't it? Yeah, that's how it's left you thinking. And then the rest is fluff. Really? Fluff. Let's break down the true mechanics of the situation. Okay, the true mechanics of the situation. And we'll go through the article and point out where Andrew Benson, the journalist that should be giving you the information and the mechanics of the situation, refuses to do that. Instead, gives you a narrative. So, what he tells you is it marks a period of enhanced stability. By saying so, he's indicating that, it's all uncertain. Okay? Now, why would that be? F1 President and Chief Executive Stefano Domenicali said Silverstone is an iconic venue. Okay, if you've got a sport, if you've got a series of events, surely the iconic venues are ones that you want to retain. They're ones where that makes the sport. There's certain things in certain sports which are they're iconic within the sport. Take the sport of tennis. What are the iconic events in tennis? Wimbledon, the French Open, the US Open, the Australian Open, the Grand Slams of the sport. Yeah? Oh, the uncertainty of whether Wimbledon is going to be on the tennis tour this year. What? What would be uncertain about that? Oh, the golf majors, the Open, the US Open, the PGA, and the Masters at Augusta. It's uncertain whether the Masters at Augusta, whether the owners of golf are going to allow the Masters at Augusta to be one of the events this year. What? Why would that be? There's certain events which are iconic within sport, but there's uncertainty over the future of that. Why? So, Silverstone staged the first World Championship race in 1950, an iconic venue. Yeah? Historic. Pretty significant. It continues to attract fans from around the world for fantastic racing on track and amazing fan experience off it. So, what is the sport of Formula One? Motor racing. What do you want to see? Motor racing. Does that circuit provide a good circuit to enable motor racing? Yes, it does. Do fans get to see good motor racing? What this sport is about? Can they see what that sport is about when it takes place on that circuit? Yes. A flagship event? Yes. Can you get a good crowd of people to see that? Yes. What would be the uncertainty? It continues to attract fans from around the world for fantastic on-track racing. I read that bit. The deal was first announced in a social media video with British F1 drivers George Russell and Lando Norris. You know, them two champions of the sport, them icons that have won one race between them. Silverstone is owned by the British Racing Drivers Club, the BRDC, and bills itself as the home of British motorsport. Okay, the British Racing Drivers Club. So for drivers in this club, if I was in a club of drivers, you know, if I was in a club of members for a sport and I had been cheated out of winning a world title in that sport, that club was a club within that sport, I would expect this club that I was in to stand up for me against the sport and say, you've cheated a guy out of a world championship. What did the British Racing Drivers Club do to stand up for Lewis Hamilton when he was categorically cheated? If you were in a club, the British Racing Drivers Club, you would expect that club to know and to understand the rules of the sport and to know why them rules of the sport need to be what they are for fair sporting contest. Therefore, when them rules are clearly broken, you understand the implications, you understand exactly what's gone on, and you can clearly see that something corrupt has taken place. You heard silence from the BRDC. A club which should have the presence with which to expose what is truly happening, should have the ability to stand up for a British driver, a record-breaking driver, an icon of a driver, and they did nothing. Nothing to stand up to this sport. Why is that? Why? Could it be this £300 million contract? From 1955 to 1986, it shared Britain's round of the championship with first Aintree and then Brands Hatch. It has hosted hosted the race every year since 1987. So what has that done? Aintree, does that still exist? I don't know. Okay, what would it be capable of holding an event which over a race weekend could facilitate 480,000 fans attending? Brands Hatch, could that now facilitate an event facilitating 480,000 fans attending over a race weekend? Successively over the years, has that circuit received enough of an income to enable it to expand its infrastructure, to upgrade the facilities in order to be a suitable venue for such an event? It seems to have fallen off, doesn't it, by comparison? So, and then we go on to this. Silverstone was one of the first Grand Prix to diversify its offering to fans by staging music concerts and other entertainment over the course of the weekend. This approach is at the heart of F1 owner Liberty Media's plan to grow the sport by broadening its appeal. So it's doing what the sport wants it to do. It is able to fulfill the vision of the media rights owner of the sport. So This is ticking all the boxes. What's uncertain about whether or not you choose to give this Grand Prix a Grand Prix? What is the uncertainty, Andrew? So here we go, and the picture. 2023 British Grand Prix at Silverstone drew the largest combined attendance for any track during the entire F1 season. 480,000 fans attended it, the most attended Grand Prix on the calendar. And Andrew tells us at the start, oh, it's uncertain whether we would want to retain this. What? What do you tell me? A sport where there's uncertainty over whether to host the biggest event in the sport, the most attended event in the sport. Who is controlling this? Who is trying to say, oh, you've got to do what we say, otherwise we take this away from you? Who has got the power? Is it a free market capitalist society where the market decides? You know, the market, that being the fans, the consumer, do they decide? Or is it controlled by billionaires who get what they want based on their terms? So, Liberty's desire to expand the calendar and to introduce new races that are close to major population centres has put pressure on many traditional and historic races, no matter their status in the sport. That is gaslighting. Liberty's desire to expand the calendar and to introduce new races that are close to major... Oh, we want to be sustainable. We want to be good for the planet. We want to introduce motor racing to closer to major population centres. That way the people are already there. They don't need to travel around. This is why you hop around the world to your different events, hopping back and forth, doing all this travel around the globe back and forth, rather than doing a circuit where you follow a specific route around the world, minimizing your carbon footprint. No, oh no, we're going to introduce events that are close to major population centres. Why? Does that enhance Formula One motor racing? No. Does that attract a larger population of viewers? No. The Las Vegas Grand Prix, this new event, close to a major population centre, right within one. Did that attract 480,000 fans over the race weekend? No. What did it do? It looked good on the TV. That's what you're doing, Liberty Media, because actually, to you, the fans that attend these events are secondary, because the amount of revenue you get from those attending the event is secondary to the amount of money that you get through TV revenue. That's your primary concern. Your primary concern is what something looks like on the TV, not the benefit of the sport itself and sporting contest. The longevity of Belgium, let's go up here, is uncertain because of a number of concerns over modernisation. Or is it because they're not willing to dance to your tune? But you don't really want to lose it because it's quite iconic and produces good racing. Silverstone's last contract, signed in 2019, was for 5 years and came at the 11th hour after the track said it could no longer afford the fee for the race. Okay, so in 2019 you signed a 5-year deal, and we come down to, where are we? Must have gone by it, because you did say that they staged 2 races in some seasons because of the pandemic. Have I gone by that? There you go. Even held 2 Grand Prix in 1 year at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. So you've signed a deal in 2019 for 5 years, and that came at the 11th hour after the track said it could no longer afford the fee. But in 2020, you put on 2 events. Why? Because the sport was struggling. Why was it struggling? Because there's a lot of places where they said, no, we're in lockdown, we're not doing this. So how do we create an F1 calendar? Well, what we do, we go to some places where we can do it twice. Okay, good. So I'm the venue. This is one of these years where you're doing it twice at my venue. Okay, you remember this? Because we helped the sport out. We helped that sport survive that season. So when we come to future negotiations, yeah, you remember how important we were to the success of that sport in that year. Who holds the power? No. Liberty Media hold the power. You'll do what we tell you to do because we hold the commercial rights. And if you want to be on our show, you have to do what we tell you to do. Who's controlling the sport? Is it being controlled for the benefit of the sport or for the benefit of those that are making huge sums of money out of this? Silverstone makes them huge sums of money, and yet it's the power lies with the people saying, well, ultimately, if you don't do what we tell you to do, this is what we're going to do. Fuck the fans. Fuck the fact that 7 of the Formula One teams are located in the UK. 7 out of 10 Formula One teams are located in the United Kingdom. And it will say here, each of those teams employs somewhere in the region of 600 or 700 people. If that's 700 people per team, 7 lots of 700 is 4,900 people employed directly with Formula One teams in the UK. But actually expanding that out, there are a lot of engineering firms that make the components. The work is contracted out for the making of the components for the cars. They're not all made in-house. So it turns out there's thousands of people that are involved in the industry of Formula One in the UK. We've got one of the most iconic Grand Prix in the season. The history is there. It produces great racing. It produces a great event. And Andrew Benson starts off all this uncertainty over the future of that. One of the jewels in the crown of Formula One. Now, is that jewel lucky to be in that crown? Or is that crown lucky to have that jewel as one of its centerpieces? How is it portrayed to you? What makes that crown better? What makes that jewel better? But again, what is Andrew Benson presenting to you? Is he presenting to you the dynamics of the situation? What are the reasons behind what is being done? It's all about money. Is that what this world is all about? Just money. Not about what's good. Not about what's right. Not about the sorts of things that are going to enrich people's lives. You only get that if it benefits a billionaire that's going to make things the way they want them to be on the grounds of money. Silverstone Chief Executive Stuart Pringle said the long-term commitment reflects the importance of the British Grand Prix to Formula One. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? And their acknowledgement of our ability to deliver a world-class experience for the British fans who are amongst the most enthusiastic and knowledgeable. Well, yeah. So because of all of this, why is it ever in any doubt? The British fans who are among the most enthusiastic and knowledgeable. So, oh, you, the fans, you are the most knowledgeable because this is how we tell you. We tell you and we respect all of the knowledge that you have. Well, you lie to them. You lie to them. You continually lie to them by conditioning them. How many of those knowledgeable fans, the 480,000 fans that attended last year's Silverstone Grand Prix weekend, how many of those truly realise exactly what you did in Abu Dhabi 2021? How many of those realise the fact that this notion of all the teams agreed that where possible, we'd like to have a racing finish to this event, so therefore that's a valid reason. That's not valid, right? You can't have a desired ending to an event that the teams will say, well, that would be good if that event ends that way. And we'll go, oh, well, we'd like it to end that way, so we'll break the rules to make sure it ends that way. Well, you're not allowed to do that. That's result manipulation. That's fixing an outcome of a sport. You're not allowed to do that. But who has ever exposed it that way? Instead, you're just told, oh, yeah, well, the team thought that was a good idea. So that's one of the reasons why he did that. Never anything more than that. Who is truly aware out of those 480,000 fans that what they were watching on the TV, because they weren't at Silverstone when they were watching Abu Dhabi, they were watching it on the TV, most of us were. And therefore, we were getting fed what the TV creators wanted us to see. And that wasn't showing us what was going on at turn 14. They showed us the replay of the crash. They didn't show us the live clear-up operation and how long it was taking, and therefore enabling us knowledgeable fans to assess for ourselves how long that clear-up operation was going to take, and therefore the likelihood of it being a resumption to racing or the likelihood of a safety car finish. No, we didn't get to see that. We got Brundle and Crofty in our ear, hyping it up, lying about the rules of the sport, proposing the notion of resuming racing with lapped cars in situ, proposing the notion of it being unknown as to when the safety car would be brought in without identifying the procedures as to what needed to happen. We get F1 TV interjecting with messages which aren't in compliance with the rules of the sport, such as that one between Red Bull and Verstappen, where it was cancel that, lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. Typical decision. I'm not surprised. Oh, poor old Max. Even if they do start this race, he's going to have to battle his way through 5 cars. That's not even possible. Who of those 480,000 fans know that? They don't, because it's never been explained to them that since 2012, that is not even an option. The media has not explained this to people. They've purposely hidden it for an agenda. And this man, Andrew Benson, has produced this article that has told you nothing, broken down none of these dynamics, made you, the fan of Formula One, think, oh, what a relief this is, that our home Grand Prix, we've now got that for the next 10 years. What a great thing. It's a good reason that we've got this for the next 10 years, because we deserve it. You know, we've got all this going for it, and therefore it's good that they've finally come to the table and agreed a 10-year contract. It's all good, isn't it? Rather than saying, well, it'd be ridiculous for it to be any other way. What is even going on here? What is the underlying dynamics? Why is the push to now say, oh, actually, rather than Silverstone, we'll just make a circuit around the streets of London and run a Grand Prix there? Why would you do that? Is that what this sport of Formula One is? Motor racing? Done at motor racing circuits? Oh, we're not going to play football in football stadiums anymore. What we're going to do instead is put 2 jumpers down as goalposts on Trafalgar Square, and we're going to play Manchester United versus Liverpool there, because that's what Liberty Media want to see, and the world wants to see that. Not really. It's not what we want, is it? It's not what we want. But Liberty Media think that that might make them billions. Who knows? That'll do for this one. Open your eyes. Look at the two ways that that has been put to you. Look at Andrew Benson's way of putting that information to you. Look at the things that I've brought to your attention, some of which you will have known. But look at what media does. Look at what media says to you, how it says it, and it just basically ignores factors which are key factors. Anyway, thanks for your time. Soon there'll be one about the 4 Christian Horner articles and nothing actually coming from them. And what is going to do very soon is the breakdown of what Sky Sports F1 did to Lewis Hamilton at Silverstone 2021. I'm going to have to do 2 or 3 videos over that because of the amount of time it will take. But once you see that, you cannot unsee it. That series of videos is going to unplug many people from the Matrix because it's outrageous. It is truly outrageous as to what that broadcaster did to Sir Lewis Hamilton at Silverstone 2021. Thanks for your time. See you soon.